Tunable consistency in MongoDB. Hello everyone, I will be picking up from where Akshay left off. So, operations minimize the impact of their consistency level on the system. Let's start with the operation in MongoDB. MongoDB offers different levels of consistency ranging from W1 to W majority. With W1, a write operation returns as soon as it's durable on the primary, while W majority ensures durability on a majority of voting nodes that are secondary nodes. The key point here is that the server performs the same work regardless of the consistency level chosen, with the only difference being the time it takes for the operation to return success. With W1, it is only for one server, and for W majority, it's a majority of secondary servers. Note that we can also have any number of servers here instead of one or majority. Now let's look into read operations. MongoDB employs various read concern levels, including local, majority, and snapshot. In WireTiger, all reads are performed as transactions with snapshot isolation. When a transaction is opened, all subsequent updates must be kept in memory until there are no active readers before a certain point in time. At that point, the state of the data files can be persisted to disk, and updates prior to that point can be disregarded. Consequently, long-running WireTiger transactions lead to memory pressure, necessitating MongoDB reads to avoid prolonged transactions to maintain system performance. For local reads, which fetch the latest data in WireTiger, MongoDB avoids keeping transactions open for too long by implementing a query yielding mechanism. This ensures that local reads don't cause memory pressure. The consequence is that the local reads do not see a consistent cut of data, but this is acceptable for this isolation level. Moving on to majority reads, which read the majority commit point of the replica set. Similar to local reads, MongoDB employs query yielding to manage memory pressure. However, this can lead to inconsistent cuts of data. Despite this, MongoDB guarantees that all the data returned is majorly committed. Lastly, snapshot reads require a consistent cut of data and are performed in a single WireTiger transaction instead of doing query yielding. Long-running transactions, MongoDB limits the duration of snapshot reads to 1 minute, ensuring system performance isn't compromised. Now coming to experiments. In these experiments, they focus on comparing the latency of different write concern levels in MongoDB. First is latency comparison of different write concern levels. Here they aim to understand why developers often opt for weaker durability guarantees due to latency concerns. The experiments were conducted on three node replica sets with varied geographical distributions. Local latency comparison. In this experiment, all components, including the replica set members and the client, were situated within the same AWS availability zone and placement group. MongoDB version 4.0.2 with SSL disabled was used with a cluster using sysperf was deployed, which is MongoDB's internal performance testing framework. Its result here we can see from the graph and the table. Average W1 is 1.25 milliseconds, while W majority is 3.18 milliseconds. So clearly it has more latency. Now coming to next case, cross AZ latency comparison. In this experiment, all replica set members were in the same AWS region, the same geographical area, but they were in different availability zones. Client 1 was in the same availability zone as a primary, and client 2 was in the same availability zone as a secondary. All replica set members were running MongoDB 4.0.3 with SSL enabled, The cluster was deployed using MongoDB Atlas on M60 instances with 5280 PIOPS. Result here, client 2 had a lower latency for write concerned with majority, and this is probably just because of noise. Client 1 is faster than client 2, and W1 is faster than W majority. Now, for the third one, cross region latency comparison. In this experiment, all replica set members were in a different AWS region. The primary was in US East 1, one secondary was in US West 1, and the other secondary was in US West 2. Client 1 was in US East 1 and client 2 was in US West 1. All replica set members were running MongoDB 4.0.3 with SSL enabled. The cluster was deployed using MongoDB Atlas on M60 instances with 5280 PIOPS. Now, results for this experiment. Here we can see a huge difference between W1 and W majority latency. So experimental settings for quantifying W1 write loss in a fail-stop model. Here our objective is to estimate W1 write loss in a replica set under standard failure modes. Here they conducted this experiment using an insert-only workload against a 3-node replica set deployed on AWS in the US East 1 availability zone. For setting this up, the replica set hosts were C3.8x large instances with 320 GB EBS running MongoDB v4.0.2 RC0 on Amazon Linux 2. The workload client written in Python and utilizing PyMongo driver consisted of 30 concurrent writer threads. All writes were executed at W1 write concern, ensuring each write was acknowledged by the primary before proceeding. The workload ran continuously, expecting a specified 1 hour limit, allowing them to gather sufficient data under various conditions. For stimulation of failures, they forcefully killed and restarted MongoDB process for each replica set node at periodic intervals. They focused on two critical time intervals, the time between restart and subsequent shutdown, and the time between shutdown and restart, also known as the time to repair. For modeling the time between server failures using a variable distribution with a shape parameter of k is equal to 1.5 and a scale parameter of 60 based on empirical analysis from previous researches. During experiment execution, they restarted nodes 10 seconds after killing them, ensuring equal likelihood for killing any nodes in the replica set. They also conducted experiment at different network latency levels induced using Linux traffic control. In the analysis, they compared inserts acknowledged to the client with insert appearing in the database, which were termed durable operations. By calculating the proportion of durable operations to acknowledged operation, the write loss, also known as durable percentage, was quantified. The result revealed a higher write loss at higher latency level, indicating a higher probability of primary writes not yet being replicated to secondary at the time of crash. These findings provided valuable insights into the behavior of W1 write concerns in replica set deployments under various failure scenarios. Now, for failover data over MongoDB managed replica set deployments experiment, here to further quantify the frequency of replica set failures in the real world, operational data from 17,720 3-node replica set deployments managed by MongoDB over the course of 1 week was collected. The number of nodes crashes or restarts couldn't be directly measured with the data collected, but the analysis focused on the number of unique terms seen by each replica set during the time period. It's important to note that terms are monotonically increasing integral values maintained on each replica set node and are utilized by totally order elected replica set leaders. Only one leader can exist for a given term. By examining the set of all unique terms over a specific period, it becomes possible to gauge how many elections the replica set experience. This serves as a rough proxy for measuring failure frequency, since node failures may prompt an election. While it's possible for a increase to happen across a replica set without successful election of a new primary, such occurrences are expected to be relatively rare. 10,000 replica sets experience one term, 6,376 experience two terms, 515 experience three terms, and less than 1% encountered four terms or more. In many of these managed deployments, it is likely that one of the most common sources of term changes is an election triggered by a planned maintenance event, such as upgrading a server's binary version. In such cases, an election becomes necessary because the nodes undergoing maintenance, for example, the primary one, may eventually be shut down. However, a planned step down will wait for a majority of replica set nodes to catch up to the primary before the step down succeeds. Consequently, all writes that were present on the primary at the beginning of step down should become majority committed, thereby reducing the loss of any W1 writes. For conclusion, uh, the flexibility offered by MongoDB in configuring each operation's consistency level is crucial, empowering users to tailor the safety and performance requirement of their operation. As a highly available replicated database, MongoDB acknowledges the importance of granting operators the choice to perceive the system either as single node system of record or as a low latency distributed system capable of tolerating short periods of inconsistency. MongoDB's flexibility in this regard is instrumental, while the introduction of casual consistency and transaction with snapshot isolation in MongoDB 3.6 and 4.0, the platform has expanded its consistency offering with a commitment to further enhancements in this realm. In forthcoming releases, efforts will focus on reducing the latency of majority writes, facilitating developers in support for long-running reads at snapshot isolation, ensuring minimal impact on the system's overall performance. Looking ahead, a key area of focus involves translating MongoDB's matrix of read concern and write concern offering into coherent consistency setting, aimed at enhancing the comprehensibility of these features. For future work, as part of future endeavors, MongoDB aims to continue refining consistency features, aligning them more closely with user requirements and expectations. Efforts will concentrate on enhancing the comprehensibility of the platform's consistency settings, ensuring users can easily navigate and select the appropriate configuration for their needs. Additionally, ongoing efforts will be directed towards reducing latency in majority writes, further enhancing the platform's performance and usability. Moreover, plans include the development of support for long-running reads at snapshot isolation, enabling operations with minimal impact on overall system performance. By translating the matrix of read concern and write concern offering into coherent consistency settings, MongoDB seeks to streamline the user experience, making it simpler and more intuitive for users to leverage the platform's rich array of features effectively. Thank you.